Welcome back to the CoDaKrew podcast. I did say on the last episode that because we have some time in between match weeks, we have the FA Cup and we have some European matches, we are going to do another general Prem update. We haven't done one of these in a while, so just to remind y'all how this works, we're basically going to be updating y'all on our Prem title predictions, the race for Europe, and relegation. And at the end, both Swapnil and I have a secret question that the other person does not know about, which we will be posing live. But let's just get started with the title race.
Yeah, first you go to Arsenal, right? And for all the times people have said in this title race, and I know we were talking about it a few months back when we last did one of these kinds of videos, that Arsenal could fall behind City or even Villa throughout this title race. They've been ahead the entire time. They have not dropped back at any point. Down to 4 points now, but still ahead. And you've got to give the praise, I think, first and foremost, to their defense. As everyone knows, offense wins games, defense wins championships, right? And if you look at XG conceded, and I know, Darian, you don't like XG quite as much as I do, but bear with me here.
It's not that I don't like XG. I just don't. It just doesn't substitute for watching the match.
Right, that's fair. But when you look at XG conceded for each team, Arsenal has let up 18 this season, lowest in the league, and 11 less than Man City, which is second lowest. So clearly there's very much something going on there. And guess what? The number of goals actually scored against Arsenal is also 18. So they've gotten like exactly what they deserve based on that stat. And if they put up these shutouts consistently, I can't see them dropping out of the title race at any point. Like in past seasons, they've bottled, right? That's what they're known for doing. And then with 2 or 3 games left, they're trailing. I don't think that's going to happen this season. I think it will be down to the wire, even if they manage to lose it at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've been very consistent, I think. I think we've both been very consistent. Really, we both did have Liverpool winning the title at the start of the season, which we're given where they are now. We'll talk about them more later. A little, quite an incorrect prediction in hindsight. But I think we both had Arsenal finishing second from the start of the season. I think we pretty much since when Arsenal started leading the table, we never thought Man City was going to catch up. I personally never even took Man City all that seriously as a title challenge. And what you've said is the primary reason. It really comes down to, I think, 3 players. It is, first off, Gabriel and Saliba, the best center back duo, the best center back pairing, I think, in the world right now, to be quite honest. And you have to give a lot of credit as well to Declan Rice, who has always been very consistent, but who has stepped up to yet another level this season. Just for an example, I feel like we just saw, a double match week in the Premier League. And a lot of players on every squad look sluggish out there, as is expected, but not Declan Rice. Even in that match against Brentford, where Arsenal could have lost, I think, just Declan Rice, his presence really kept them in the match. And no other team has that consistency in the Premier League. Man City does not have that reliability on the defense. If anything, that's a liability for them. So I think Arsenal have continued to put themselves in a great position, and I'm not going to change my mind on this.
I mean, you could say Man City are a bit inconsistent in offense as well, but definitely defense is the big thing that is Arsenal's differentiating factor. Now, I know this is not peak Arsenal, right? Not the same team that hit Bayern for 3, had Rice go wild against Real Madrid. They still look questionable in some games. In terms of attacking potency, yes, they have the second most goals in the league, but first place is also City, right? So when you see from time to time in games, you have guys like Gyökeres looking isolated, or you see the whole forward line having trouble, like against Wolves. I think it's fair to be concerned about the offense here. Even with the Brentford game, they got well outperformed on XG. Martinelli was close to winning it at the end, but you could say they maybe should have had it dealt with by then. But yeah, I think just with how consistent that back line is, they are well equipped to get through their schedule, which honestly does not even seem that bad for these last 12 games. But they have squad depth. They've shown they're good in games against just about any team anywhere on the table. As long as that defense holds up, they have the quality to score as much as they need to get through this period. Whether that's 3 goals ahead of whoever they're playing, or they just go for that 1-0 victory every game, right? I think they can manage.
I think, you also have to consider that Arsenal are playing, and I'm not saying that they'll be successful in this, but they're not playing to win the league, they're playing to win a quadruple. And what Mikel Arteta has done is try his best to manage his squad, manage this very strong depth squad to try to basically make a good run in every competition. And so I think if Arsenal really focused just on the Prem, they would be even higher. They would have even greater of a gap against City. But for example, I think players like, in my view, I think Eze would have a lot more playing time if Arteta wasn't saving him for the UCL, for example. I think somebody like a Gyökeres as well would have more playing time. But part of Arsenal's strength is, well, one, smart rotations, and also being able to tactically adjust to whoever they're playing against. And that comes from a level of depth that only them, and besides them, arguably only City have. But then I still trust Arsenal's backups a lot more than Manchester City right now. So I think, especially as the season goes on, one of the reasons that Arsenal was never able to break through against City in the past was that it was always City who had the more reliable bench and could therefore really win out in like the later stretches of the season, basically what we're about to enter now. But I think for the first time, it is clear that Arsenal are better in that department this season, and that's what, for me, what makes the biggest difference.
Yeah, Arsenal are just they've been consistently good. And as for City, I know like back in late December, early January, they were looking questionable. Had what, 3 draws in a row in the league? Lost to United in the derby. They also lost to Budo in the UCL. They had their fair share of good showings during that time as well. I know they had a thorough beating of Newcastle in both legs. They beat us at Anfield. They're never completely shit, but they are having these periods where there's significant trouble to find points. In the UCL as well, even, but especially in the Prem. And that is a problem because for however questionable some of Arsenal's matches are, they always get those 3 points, like almost always. City are not consistent like that. They've gone from like 3 points behind Arsenal to 7 points to 4 points to 6 points, just oscillating the whole time. And they never quite catch up, right? And with what I've seen this season, I'm not sure they ever will. 5 match days ago, Arsenal draw, City draw as well. Next match day, Arsenal draw Liverpool, City lose the derby. Arsenal lose to United. Now City finally win versus Wolves, mind you, and now they get to catch up a little bit. This is not like an invincible squad we're talking about here with the Gunners, but City just cannot quite capitalize when Arsenal do screw up. I'm not very confident with the stretches I've seen from City where they're like kind of good for a bit, then they go bad, kind of good, kind of bad, that like they're ever going to clear that gap.
Yeah, and also I think Arsenal are almost sort of toying with them a little bit, where it feels like every time City do get close to matching Arsenal in points, they sort of turn up another gear, because it's very clear to me. It's very clear to me that Arsenal's not playing their best squad in a lot of these matches intentionally, and I think City already are. City right now are clearly in a transition phase, right? A lot of youngsters that have been brought in, like Marmoush, Cherky, etc. Semenyo as well, for example. They have the quality, but they don't have the consistency to compete uh, to compete with Arsenal yet, and that's fine, because I think right now, like, City's objective this season is not winning trophies. I think it's development of these young stars, and especially if Pep leaves, which is obviously not confirmed, but is a very real possibility at the end of the season. He's trying to lay the groundwork for this side to go back to its peak in the coming few years. And when you look at what Man City has been building from that point of view, I think it makes a lot more sense. And so, I mean, again, I don't know what your take is on this. I still do not see City as I'll call them title contenders. I will not call them credible title contenders as of now.
Yeah. This is not their season to be winning. This, if anything, should have been our season to go for a repeat. But like City were not, I think, quite that ambitious. I mean, arguably they've been ambitious now in the winter window. But again, still, like you said, it's
But I still think
transitional.
that ambition is not to win now. It is to
Right,
It is to
exactly.
build for the future.
Because I mean, one of their big issues, right, was they need to diversify their attack. We saw how reliant they were on Holland, and now they've brought in Semenyo, Cherky, Reinders, etc. And so they've got to work these players in. I'm aware that the attack hasn't completely worked out right now. I think you even talked about this in one or two of our episodes, where if Holland's scoring, Cherky's not. If Cherky's scoring, Foden's not, right? The
Right.
attack's not consistent like that. They have all these threats. They don't have them all at once. They're not quite gelling together. And that's fine. They've brought in all these new players. I don't expect them to all work toward a title as soon as they come into the team. But yeah, this is not City season, I think, to win a title. If anything, like Villa are perhaps more primed, relatively speaking, to win it right now. Not that I think they have better chances than City, to be completely clear. But yeah, City are probably going for next year at this point. And maybe
Well,
they try
about
something in the
Villa though,
UCL. Yeah.
about Villa, do you think? So then, are they in the race as well for you then?
Okay, because I know at certain points in the season you have had them lower down in the title charge than I have.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, just to jump the gun here, which people will know if they've watched us for a while. I've never had Villa in the title race at
as a
all.
serious title
So
contender, exactly.
not even as a serious,
Um,
just as a title contender, full
right.
stop.
I think Man City is a bit of an inconsistent team. Villa is much more so. Last week I called these guys wishy-washy, and they showed that in that game that we predicted. Very close to scoring nothing at home versus Brighton. Poor shooting,
Right.
lots of saves needed from Emmy, and it was a late goal, a late own goal to eventually win it. Home form was real strong for them at the start of the season, not as much now. And in terms of offense, like they've got this midfield crisis going on right now. No Tielemans, no Kamara, no McGinn. They're having lots of trouble even progressing the ball to begin with. So that means some games they'll still have a guy score like a screamer and they can get by. And other games they just won't find really anything, like in that Brighton game where they were lucky to have that own goal at the end. They're just not consistent. Part of it you could say it's down to injuries. You could say it's down to they have obviously less squad depth than Arsenal or City. Again, it's just a lack of consistency. I don't think they are going to clear that gap either. I think they will be honestly, they should be worried about that like if another team comes up and pushes them down.
Yeah,
Like if another
I
team or
fully
two
agree.
come
By
up.
the way,
Yeah.
I
Out
fully
of
agree, and
Chelsea, Man U,
that's
Liverpool.
yeah.
Right. They're in the like the top 4 race is what it is. They're not in the title race. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the reason why they're not consistent is what you just said: lack of squad depth, the midfield crisis. We're about to see European match weeks as well, which is only going to harm them further as they deal with this crisis because not only do they have less depth than the title contenders, they also clearly have less depth than the other teams you just mentioned that they're fighting for a spot in the UCL next season. And so yeah, I don't think it's Villa season yet. Like for example, in that last match against Brighton, I mean I talked about it in my last like solo Prem review episode. It was an Unai Emery masterclass, and it feels like every Villa win right now is just an Unai Emery masterclass, and that can only bring you so far. You need to have at some point you need the talent and the depth, and obviously Villa are building towards something, kind of like City, I would say, but they're also not there yet. So I guess CoDaKrew is officially projecting Arsenal to win the Premier League, which I'm kidding, but I don't know if you saw recently there was a bookie that paid out people who
Paddy Power, I think. Yes.
right.
Yeah,
I'm
they've
I'm
already
not
paid
going
out an
that far
Arsenal
yet,
wing,
but
right?
I think that's quite that is quite symbolic to me.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, as for those other teams who are vying for those UCL spots, I'll just start with Man U because they're highest up in the standings. But I will note some issues with them that, to be clear, are also true of Chelsea and Liverpool. Obviously, there's been a lot of commotion at United this season. Admittedly, they were not in a super bad spot when Amram got sacked, but I don't think they'd have broken into the top 4 anytime soon with him at the helm. So they bring Carrick in. Now they're on this run of great form. Wow, this team might be good now. Wow, they might be consistently winning from now on. They might finally get the United Strand to cut his damn hair, and then they drop points to a relegation team. Right? It's happened to Chelsea too, to Liverpool as well. You think you have some momentum, and then you find a setback where you really shouldn't be having any issues at all. It's
But
again,
I think it's clear why they lost that match, though, isn't it? Because they just don't have the depth. I mean,
right? That's
they
true.
played the same starting 11 like 4 matches in a row. So
Yeah, But ultimately, like I know I keep on coming back to it, and it's the one thing that Arsenal have, and these none of these other teams do, which is why like Man U, Chelsea, Villa, Liverpool are out of the title race to begin with. It's consistency. For whatever reason, when they get a bit of a purple patch, like it will fall down at the weirdest time, and yeah, they're basically reset back to square one in terms of form. It's been happening through the whole season for all these teams. That's not to say like I think United will be absolutely struggling now. I don't think Carrick has lost his mandate of heaven or anything, but
Right.
there's no consistency in this part of the table, and the Blues and the Reds and the Red Devils are going to be tripping all over themselves as the season closes. I don't think you can like reasonably predict at this point who is going to finish fourth here. These three clubs, I think they can only hope that there is a fifth UCL spot, and then maybe then they have a 2/3 chance of getting it.
True.
But
Well,
for
look,
now, it's very hard for me to call.
I, I mean, well, two things to say, right? First off, if all these teams are tripping over themselves, this reminds me of that Olympics. You know that Olympics, the skating like race, and then like in the final lap, all of the people in the front like trip over each other, and the guy at the back just like walks on in and takes the gold medal. The question is, if all of these teams are tripping over themselves, and they're all in Europe, by the way, there's some upper mid-table squad that's not in Europe. Do they take advantage? Because right now, Brentford are only 2 points
Yeah,
behind Liverpool.
I was gonna say that's the immediate candidate right there,
Right.
right? Is Brentford.
Everton and Bournemouth are also right there in the pack. Could we see an outsider make the UCL, or even if not make the UCL, make like a Europa League or a Conference League spot?
Absolutely, we can see someone sneak in. They're just all these teams are all over the place right now. Generally, the table, like if you look at this part of the table, I know Bournemouth for a little bit were in second place at the start, right? Then they settled kind of into this same section, like fourth to sixth, and then they dropped off. Same goes for like Palace. I I think again it's just ups and downs for all of these teams, and yeah, it's happened to the teams that you'd expect to be mid-table Brentford, Bournemouth, Palace, etc. It can absolutely happen to a Man U or a Chelsea or a Liverpool because yeah, it's been chaos at those three
Yeah.
clubs throughout this whole season. Again, just so hard to predict. But I do think yeah, very feasibly. I'm not going to call it as such, but very feasibly one of them could get overtaken by like a Brentford or a
Okay.
Bournemouth. Yeah.
So, well, what I have right now, I've written down the top seven, my predicted top seven in the Premier League in that order. Do you want to go one club at a time, like one position at a time?
Yeah, sure, sure.
So
Okay.
we agree Arsenal first,
Arsenal
Man City
first.
second, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's start with spot number three because I think that's where like everyone from Villa to potentially one of these like everyone is
Right.
is in the third to seventh. So let's
Yeah.
start off with spot number three. Who do you have finishing third in the Premier League?
Based off okay, and I'll get into some of this stuff for the other teams as well. It's
Mhm.
I have maybe as a fan because I'm just dejected. I have no faith in Liverpool. I'm not expecting
Okay,
us to third.
right.
Um Villa are also kind of hard to call. I'm gonna say it's either Man U or Chelsea.
Okay.
And I kind of want to go Chelsea. Yeah, just because I think
So
Rosenior has been doing a damn good job thus far against like everyone in the table, pretty much. And I think Chelsea's next run of games is also not that bad, so I think they can get through. Yeah,
okay. Um, really, I think their next few matches. They're playing Arsenal, Villa, and Newcastle.
but I mean, I'll say that they're on like good form right now, which is helpful. If they
That's true.
drop
That's
off,
true.
if they
Yeah.
taper off later, then at least they're doing it when they've got like easier opponents to deal with,
Yeah,
right?
that's fair. Yeah. Okay. For me, my third place spot. This is crazy that I'm saying this. I can't believe this is coming out of my mouth. My prediction: third place in the Premier League, Manchester United.
Okay,
And
I'm
I'll,
yeah.
I'll tell you why.
Start of the season, it would be insane, but yeah,
Right. What did
right
I
now,
have? Did I have
completely
them like
reasonable.
ninth? I started
Yeah,
something crazy like that.
yeah,
I
not
don't remember
getting Europe
exactly.
even. Right.
Yeah, but here's what I'll say. It's very dependent on whether Michael Carrick actually has the mandate of heaven. But if you're an elite manager, a draw like this, especially when you cannot be reasonably expected to win every match yet, with United's lack of depth, that should not be that big of a setback. and the players really should not see it as much of a setback either. Like again, I think expectations for this squad maybe went a little bit too high, not among the general population, but among their fan base as this run started. Like these guys were talking as if they were title contenders. So let's chill out a little bit here. But the biggest reason why I have them finishing here and I don't have a Chelsea, a Villa, a Liverpool, or someone else is that all of those teams are in Europe and they're not. And when the UCL match weeks begin, that is when United have their biggest advantage. Because United don't have the depth. I agree. But Chelsea has more depth, but they're not ready either. But Chelsea is going to be playing in the UCL, and Man United's biggest advantage is they're only playing once a week. They're not in any of the cup competitions, I believe.
They're
not in any cup competitions.
knocked him out of every single one, so Carrick has that going for him. That's true.
That's right. They also got knocked out of the FA Cup by Brighton. And so, bar these few matches where they're playing 2 matches in a week in the Premier League, which will only happen a few times for the rest of the season, and everybody else will have to deal with that too, they have the clearest path scheduling-wise. And right now, they are, 1 point behind Chelsea? Or are they ahead of Chelsea? No, they're 1 point ahead of Chelsea.
1 point ahead,
and when that comes in, I just think that they're in a much better situation.
Okay, yeah. I think if I have Chelsea third, I can probably put Man U fourth at that point. I think it's
so you don't have Villa in the top 4 then?
No, I do not. I think they drop off a bit. It's not going to be quite Palace level, but I think it'll be in that sort of form drop off that they're going to have. Just
interesting.
Slowly.
All right.
Yeah. I think I've talked about this before, right? But they got so fucked when they lost UCL and they lost UCL funding and they couldn't do really much of anything over the summer transfer window or even the most recent one for that matter. They just don't have the depth. And yeah, if they're lucky, the injury crisis stops right now and they can get back to form. But I think just reasonably seeing how their injury crisis is going at the moment, I think if it continues out much longer, they're not going to stay up there in the top 4. Yeah. Like I would even go so far as to put us ahead of them, assuming we can. Like I think that's not unreasonable.
Well, let's hold off on
extrapolating.
That. Let's not, don't.
Okay, sure. I'll let you go for your 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also, by the way, I have the same mindset as you. I don't have Villa in my top 4 either. Well, I will say first off, this is not confirmed, but it is virtually guaranteed that top 5 makes UCL in the Premier League, right?
That's true.
So Villa do not have to make top 4 in order to make the Champions League. And so we're not saying yet that Villa are not going to make the Champions League. But what I will say is I more or less agree with you. Once Villa has to face European match weeks like everyone else, they're in more trouble than anybody else. I think that's in this race. Liverpool, United, or Chelsea. Because they have the least depth out of all these 3 squads. They're basically already playing their second string in midfield. Their bench, to the extent that it exists, is not trustworthy whatsoever, if we're being quite honest. And so, I mean, there's not much you can do about this. And so, yeah, I have Chelsea finishing 4th. I mean, I'll go to 5th place in a second, but they're really in trouble here.
Yeah, I think 5th and 6th again. I could say it's either us or it's Villa. But I'm honestly going to say just extrapolating what is going on at Villa right now. And just thinking that we're decent at the moment. Obviously, we're well underperforming, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's aware of that after spending, £450 million in the 2 transfer windows. But yeah, I think we're decent right now, and as much as that right back injury crisis is completely fucking us at the moment, we're still getting by with Szoboszlai just being
at least it's only
there.
1 position for you,
right? Exactly, and for Villa it's the whole midfield who are a key position. Whereas with us, we resigned ourselves to the fact that our defense is shit, right? And we're gonna gonna outscore
City are in a
people,
title race, and they're not even trying to have a right back. So
right. We've resigned ourselves to the fact that defense is not going to help us anyways, and we are just trying to outscore people, and it is working well enough, often enough, I think. Whereas again, Villa, if that midfield crisis continues, yeah, they're going to have a lot of trouble staying in top 5. I think that is a crucial set of players that are missing right now.
Okay.
I'll
Well,
say
so
I
then
have us edge Villa for 5th, but
okay.
yeah,
Okay.
completely reasonable. We also get 6th, and we just get like Europa for the season. That's possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think you are getting Europa for this season. I do have Villa ahead
Okay.
of you guys still. And first off, there is I'll say a few reasons. I think you guys are going to put a lot more effort into Europe than Villa will, right? Because you guys I think you guys. I'm not. Again, I want to make it very clear. This is not a prediction at all. But you guys are going to try to win the Champions League.
Yeah. No, because we need a trophy, man. We need something out
right.
of this season. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Villa, I mean, they could win the Conference League for sure, but they're not going to. I don't think that's going to be their main effort. Their main effort is going to be trying to hold their title position. We're not title. Sorry, their Premier League position. And with only 12 games left in the season, you guys are still 8 points behind. So that's not an impossible gap to make up. But I still think even with Villa's injuries, just with how good Unai Emery has his team playing in general, you guys would have to be pretty close to perfect. And Liverpool are not a terrible team. Obviously, they're doing terrible compared to expectations. But I don't think at any point in the season you guys have shown that you're capable of bridging such a gap. So I just don't see it for you guys. I'm sorry. Like I think right now we have United and Chelsea, 3rd and 4th, and there's going to be a bit of a gap between them and Villa. I think that there's a bigger gap between Villa and you than Villa and those guys for me. I don't think it's a coin flip at all. To be, maybe I'm being a hater, but
okay, no, that's fair. We've been shit, right?
Yeah,
we can go.
Yeah.
We can go back to being like we haven't proven that we can have a long stretch of being good. We can have a long stretch of being shit. So
right,
yeah, if we go back to that,
all of
fair.
these squads, everyone else here has at their best looked better than you, and while not having very long peaks, have had longer peaks than you.
Yeah. Okay. So then we basically have these two pairs of teams like swapped then, yeah? So I have Chelsea ahead, you have Man U ahead. I have Liverpool ahead, you have Villa ahead. Okay, fair.
Yeah.
How about the relegation race then?
Well, hang on, but we still have Conference League.
Oh, you know what? That's true. Yeah, let's think about that 7th team then.
I have a 7th team. I want to say, so looking at the table, let me see if I can come to a consensus with you on who is even in the race for top 7, okay? Obviously Brentford are in 7th right now. Everton and Bournemouth are in the race for me. Newcastle and Sunderland are in the race for me, and that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't trust Fulham there. Palace are still kind of struggling as well. And Brighton are just like
Brighton are cooked.
Ride the wave, Brighton. Yeah, up and down, right? Yeah, I think I'd out of those teams, I'd go with Brentford. Just I don't know. They seem like very confident in their tactics right now. I think part of it could be biased just because the fact that like people were saying they'd be relegated at the start of the season.
Wait, now which one of us had them being relegated? Because
it was you, no? And I had Wolves going down 18.
Did I have Brentford or Bournemouth going down?
It was Brentford, I think you had.
Because
they lost Mbeumo and they lost Wissa. And then
I feel like I remember having Bournemouth going down because they also lost. My logic at the time, as far as I remember, is they also had those losses and they lost basically their entire back line.
Okay, maybe
Maybe I'm mixing things up, but
I do know a lot of people were saying they'd have Brentford in 18th.
That's
they're a lot better. So now you think can they go even further? It's almost like Nottingham last season, except Brentford hasn't gotten quite to the peaks of Nottingham, but still they are just way overperforming. I think everyone's expectations of them this season.
Well, I'll start off by saying for me, I listed out the 5 names. I think the only two, I shouldn't say the only two. I think by far the 2 teams that have the best chance of finishing in that 7th spot are Brentford themselves and Bournemouth. And I'll say why I don't have Everton, Newcastle, or Sunderland in a great position to take that 7th spot. Starting with Sunderland, they haven't shown to me that they're consistent enough away from home. And coming to the last stretch of the season, that's going to be a big issue. They put themselves in a great position, obviously, for their debut season and moving forward. But I think mid-table is just like That's kind of where they are. That's kind of where they deserve to be, and it's going to be quite hard for them to bridge the gap, especially as there's less and less games in the season to actually do so. Then Newcastle, it's the same nagging issue they've been talking about for a while, right? I mean, Newcastle have the same issue as Villa. Lewis Miley out, Joe Linton out, and now Bruno Guimaraes, their captain, is going to be out for multiple months in this crucial phase of the season. That, and they're in the Champions League. It's going to be very difficult for them, in my opinion, to come back. They're in the Champions League knockout stage as well. Sorry, not the knockout stage, but what's the thing before round of 16?
I think it is the knockouts, nor the knockout qualifiers, probably.
The knockout qualifiers, right?
Yeah,
they're there. They're playing Qarabag, which shouldn't be too much of an issue for them. But obviously, just like depth-wise, when you like Villa, when you lose out on all those midfielders, it's not a question of the talent; it's just a question of
extra games is extra games, right?
Right.
It's
yeah.
a challenge regardless.
Yeah. I mean, they literally they'll have to play Jacob Ramsey out of position, and even then, it's just him, Wilcock, and Tonali are literally their only midfielders left. Again, and it's not that these players are bad; it's just that they're the only ones on the squad. Like, what can you do in that situation, right? So yeah, I don't have them there either. And then finally, for Everton, it's just the firepower issue. Obviously, they don't have a consistent enough striker. Jack Grealish is out for the season, and as good as Ilman and Jai was, I think they're kind of just peaked at the form that they were in last season, which is a good upper mid-table side, a Moyesian side that can, basically put the game into the gutter against anyone, but not a side that's good enough for Europe. So it's between Brentford and Bournemouth for me as well. And here's what I'll say. Brentford and Bournemouth, I think they have very strong attacks, right? Igor Thiago in the race for the golden boot. Dango Aracha, highly underrated player. Very great offensive output. And if you could just put this on the screen as well, he is tied with Kylian Mbappe for the most penalties created in the Big Five leagues. And that's something that's not shown up on the stat sheet. That is a huge benefit that he gives to Brentford, especially when their striker does not miss penalties. And then similar thing for Bournemouth, right? I mean, they've been great all season. Adley, Evan Nielsen, Eli Krupi, Ryan brought in has been very consistent right now. But the reason I have Brentford ahead of Bournemouth, other than the 3-point advantage, is I trust Brentford's midfield, especially, and their defense more. Brentford also have a lot more depth in the midfield. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, between Brentford and Bournemouth, and I do think having well-performing striker is going to be a big thing here. Well, that's part of the reason why I don't have Everton there, because I still can't completely trust Beto or Barry, especially not Beto. And as for Bournemouth, I mean, well, Semenyo was not quite striker, but he was their big scorer, and he's left. And while Adley looks pretty good and Ryan looks like he could be a star, they're not proven yet, right? So I can't have that much confidence in them, whereas I can have confidence right now in Thiago, because he has shown that he is great enough that people need to treat him like Holland and like just man mark him with three guys. So that's why I'd have Brentford going. And yeah,
and
Bournemouth
also say, by the way, sorry to interrupt, I think also both Oracha and Kevin Schade have proven their consistency more than the Bournemouth.
That's also true,
right?
Yeah. I mean, just generally, Brentford's attack has proven to be more consistent. And so, like, yeah, this Bournemouth attack has potential. Things could change over the season, but just based off what we have now, I don't think it would be reasonable to rank Bournemouth over Brentford. The attack just seems better at the moment. At the piece.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Now to the relegation race.
Yeah.
Okay. First, this team, I do want to ask you, Leeds, do you think they're in the drops, like the relegation race at all?
The thing is, I don't, but we also did mention Villa in the title race, and they're not in it. So, for the sake of the section, we can still include like 4 teams in the relegation battle, for the sake of like explaining why some of these teams are not in it. So I would say, just to set things up right for the audience and just for this discussion, Wolves and Burnley are getting relegated this season.
Yeah, I don't
Brighton
think we
and
need
the teams
to
above are not. It is Leeds, Tottenham, Nottingham, or West Ham that is taking that 18th spot. All right, just to get that out there.
Yeah. Okay. As for me, for Leeds, I'm not going to say too much about them because I do think they've proven that they're not going to be in the drop zone. But it's First off, they're at 30 points right now. I know a few years ago they got relegated with 31, so already this is a very big improvement when they have 12 games left. But also, they've got a really clear tactical identity here, which has ever since they went to Man City and Farkas said, we're going to play really direct, put on constant pressure on the other end. They had a narrow loss and they've just been racking up points since then. Lost 2 games out of 14. Compared to teams like Forest, Tottenham, the players seem completely out of it at those clubs, as do the fans. Leeds have got a strong mentality and they've got a very clear edge. If you just watch their games, they've got an edge to them, especially at home. That home advantage is helping them along a lot. I just think they're in a pretty good spot right now. Mentally, they're on good form. They have stability, which again, Tottenham and Nottingham, their fans wish they had any sort of stability. Nottingham's just going like through, just cycling through managers. So they're the worst out of all of them in that regard.
Yes.
But again, Leeds have just a lot going for them over their main rivals. And I know West Ham have momentum coming out of the drop zone, but then I don't think West Ham are going to threaten Leeds. At this point, it's them. They like their rivals are Tottenham and Nottingham, I think.
Yeah,
and they just seem
sure.
much better off at this point.
And just to contextualize this a little bit, right? The highest point tally of a relegated team in the Premier League this decade was Burnley. I think the season that they sacked Sean Dyche, and they had 35 points. I would say that part of the reason why we have not gone above that yet is because many seasons of relegation battle has not been competitive by this point, and this year it clearly is. So I think we could go back to a similar number. Also, to put this in context, Opta currently has the most likely team finishing 18th as West Ham, and they have West Ham getting an expected 36 points. So if we are to take that number as sort of a benchmark, do we expect Leeds to get 6 points in their next 12 matches? I think easily, right? Like you said, very consistent side. And part of that is not just that the Leeds board has actually put their faith into Daniel Farke in the last few months. It's that with Farke's midfield system, there is a real tactical identity, not just cultural like team identity, an actual tactical identity that nobody else in this relegation battle has, clearly. So,
I mean, if you want to talk about I'll pull up a quick visual here. I have one from Canon Stats, who, just to clear any biases, they are Arsenal fans, but I think they do a pretty good job.
I don't think that bias is going to be very applicable here.
Yeah, it's fine in this case. Maybe they say Tottenham's fucked. I don't know. But yeah, it's strength of schedule, and Leeds apparently have the weakest in the league, and I think that's fair. I know they say Tottenham are top half. Forest higher up still. West Ham have the toughest schedule in these last 12 games, whereas Leeds, okay, they have City, but they have City
have the toughest schedule.
Or West Ham have the toughest.
West
schedule,
Ham, okay,
which is kind of not great considering where they're at right now. But Leeds, they have City, but they've got City at home at Elland Road. Chance for a draw there, you could say. Sunderland at home, no Stadium of Light advantage for them, and Wolves and Burnley at home. That could be them up to 40 points right there. They could get 10 points from those 4 games, feasibly. And there's still 8 others to get points from. 40 points is a threshold a lot of people throw around. It hasn't been broken by a relegated team in a long, long time. Maybe not since the Prem started.
Since the start of the Premier League, the most points that a relegated team has ever had is 42. And so even if we take that worst case scenario, I think
Leeds can absolutely clear that. Yes, absolutely they can. So that's why they're out for me. They're already in a good place, and they've got a pretty good schedule upcoming. So
in my opinion, if anything, the question is how much higher can they go? I think they could push themselves into mid-table.
How much more can they get out of these next few games?
Because here's the thing, though, because they clearly have better form than Palace and Brighton. I think it's not unreasonable at all, if you're a Leeds fan, to at least hope that they finish 13th from that alone. And then beyond that, I mean, then it kind of falls on how well do those higher up teams go. But I think the point is, Leeds are not functionally in this conversation.
Right. And then at the same time, I don't think Palace or Brighton are going to stoop that low that they drop into this race.
Right.
So at that point, it is just the other 3: Tottenham, Nottingham, West Ham. I guess we can talk about those 3 now.
Okay. Well, do we want to start then with the next team down the list, which would be Tottenham?
Sure. Okay. Spurs. Okay, you've got so much fucking money You have a £1 billion stadium, best in the league, or at least the most valuable. Sky high revenue. I know sometimes we say Spurs, you should not be in the Big Six anymore. In
They're
money
not in the Big
terms,
Six.
they're Big
Who
Four.
thinks they're in the Big
In
Six?
money terms, they're like Big Four or Big Five, maybe. Here's the problem: they just do not spend it right. Every season, as like in the past few seasons, Tottenham have been spreading their transfer fees across promising profiles, and they never find, I think, one clear, ready-made difference maker for a season. Ange had an interview a few days ago, after Frank got sacked. He said during the after his first season, during the 2024 summer window, he was looking at Mbuemo, Semenyo, Gehi, all doing pretty well at that point. They weren't quite at their peak, but they were all doing pretty well in the 23-24 season. Instead, he got Slanky, fine, that's pretty good, and Bergval, Odebear, and Archie Gray, 3 teenagers. Solanke was all right last season. Those 3 were okay, I guess. Spurs did not have a star performer. I think that's a big thing as to why they ended up in 17th, is they did not have a star attacker. They didn't
And
have anyone.
especially because this is the time that Harry Kane, Heung-min's son, were leaving
He
as
had
well.
already left, and
Right.
they didn't have anyone proven besides Son, and now Son's gone. So seriously, who is filling that role of experienced attacker leading the forward line? Of their summer signings, Kudus could maybe do it. Now he's injured, so he's not filling that for you. Simone's is not that guy, nor is Matisse Tel, and they didn't get Semenyo or Eze or any of their other bigger targets because they just don't push hard enough for any single player. This team is not ambitious. They have money. They cover it up just because they spend. They spend because they have that money to begin with. They don't spend with an ambitious mindset.
And didn't Andrew also say that they're not a big squad or they're not a big team,
Yeah,
something like that?
he did. He said that straight up, and I know he ruffled some feathers, but I think that's completely.
But the thing
He
is,
was-
it's true. The thing
he
is,
was
it's true.
papering over a lot of cracks with this squad that honestly was mediocre last season.
Yeah.
Just like on paper even is mediocre, and he managed to get quite a bit out of them with the Europa, even though obviously they were real shit in the Prem. And when you have this injury crisis ongoing now there's just no one to step up at this team. You don't have Kane, you don't have Son. Who is going to fill that leadership role?
Can I just
Romero's gone.
submit
Romero went out.
formal declaration? Can I just submit a yeah? Can I submit a declaration of war against Tottenham real quick? Okay.
Declaration of war? Sure, go ahead.
Yes, because listen, I thought that with Leicester out of the Premier League I would be unbiased, but I actually hope Tottenham get relegated. I really do, because I think I've said something like this a few times in the past, but Tottenham fans earlier in the decade were very insecure about Leicester potentially taking their Big Six spot, and there was a lot of relief happening when we got relegated for the first time. And so I think just with that, basically they started hating on us for no reason. We were not hating on them, right? Like we were just trying to we had no enemies. We were not trying to we were trying to take a hit on them. We were just trying to do good on our own. And their fan base just started hating on us for no reason. So fuck you, Tottenham. I hope you get relegated, and I hope you play for the championship next season. Except that's probably not going to happen because we're going to get relegated to League One this year. But if by some miracle we do end up staying up, we will get to play you, and that will be. Listen, I know we have our rivalries in the lower tables in England, but honestly, I don't even treat those as seriously as I would if Tottenham went down here. I seriously, Tottenham fans annoy me so much. Okay, I'm sorry. I just had to bring that out there.
Yeah, get it out there. Yeah, there's no one to lead the charge at this team, man. Even fucking Romero said, I'm going to go out in solidarity with my entire back line. And now he's gone for, 3 more games still, maybe?
Yes, 3 more games.
Yeah. I don't know. They have their new manager, Igor Tudor. I know he has, a pretty decent record with recovering bad runs like this. He took over, Lazio in March 2024. They were, I think, 8th or 9th in Serie A. I think 9th. I know he got 2 points per game in his next 9 matches. So they finished 7th and they got Europa League. Then he did basically the same thing with Juve. They were 5th, but they had gone 3 or 4 straight losses across all competitions. He again got 2 points a game, got him in 4th into the automatic UCL spots. He can take struggling teams and finish their seasons off well. But Tottenham are not just strugglers; they are stragglers. They are in a
Right.
relegation race right now.
That's
Tudor
true.
has never had a fire under his ass with a potential drop off into the drop zone. And while he has lots of experience in Italy, he has none in England. So you have to think Tottenham have 12 games left to get clear of danger. Their captain's gone, so many key injuries, and a manager who probably needs some time to get used to the specific playstyle here. Was this the right signing? Honestly, was there any signing that could save Tottenham at this point?
Please. Oh my god, it would be so great if James Madison, that fucking traitor,
was there
got
any
relegated.
coach?
Oh my god.
Was there any manager who could save Tottenham at this point, man?
Sean
With
Dyche.
the injury crisis, do you think Dyche could do it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So I guess you're probably happy he hasn't betrayed you here, then, yeah?
What do you mean? I'm happy Sean Dyche didn't betray me.
I mean, yeah, like he's.
I
he's
have
not...
no relations with the man. I just, he's just a good manager. Okay, I made that sound really weird. Sorry. I'm like Leicester City has no history with Sean Dyche.
I mean, but like you've touted Dycheball before, right? Like you like him. I
praised Dycheball. Yes. Yeah, true.
So exactly. So you're happy
he's
not
neutral
using
observer,
it to.
He's just a very trustworthy.
So you're probably pretty happy he's not using it to prop up Tottenham here. Yes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
let him go down. They for the past 2 seasons, the fact that like I think they've had the least points of anyone besides Wolves. Yeah, they deserve it.
So, but okay. The question: do you have them going down though?
Do I?
Are you predicting that Tottenham gets relegated right now? Swap no official prediction.
As much as I want to say yes, no, I do not.
Okay.
No, it's good. It's going to be. I'll say it's West Ham. Yes.
Okay.
I think. Or actually, we could talk about Nottingham too, because
let's wait a second. You know what? Let me. Can I spice this up again? I'm not going to say who I have getting relegated. What I will say is I don't have it being West Ham.
Okay.
So I'm just going to throw a little spice out there. I'm not going to say who I have getting relegated, but it's either Tottenham or Nottingham. And and listen, the viewers know Nottingham are technically our rivals, and Tottenham are not. But I still like Nottingham a lot more than I like Tottenham. So
yes,
I'm not saying anything else besides that right now. But just
How about we talk about Nottingham then? Because what an interesting club this is. It is really hard to separate this shit show at Forest, right, from their owner. I mean, it's all I think it is. Almost all their problems right now, besides just, okay, they have some bad injuries, like Chris Wood's gone and whatnot. Almost all their problems are just Marinakis. Seriously.
Oh, absolutely.
Pulled the trigger on sacking Nuno early. Looks very rash in hindsight, and of course he probably had other motivations.
It was very rash in the moment as well, by the way, because Nuno... The rationale was he lost one game, by the way. It wasn't that Nottingham started the season poorly. He lost one match.
Right. He just wanted his Greek manager. That's all it was. And now he's cycled through Ange, Dyche, and now he's going to Pereira, who, like, for a guy who got sacked not that long ago because Wolves were, like, not getting any
by
points.
The way, the reason Wolves have, like, fucking 8 points or whatever in the Premier League is because of Vitor Pereira. So that's your guy. Pereira. That's your guy to keep you up in the Premier League.
Then again, like Pereira has shown he can do a firefighting job, right? Like he did it with Wolves last season.
But was that him or was that Cunha?
Also true. And do Nottingham have Acuna right now? I don't think so.
Clearly
they
not.
Don't have Wood. They don't have Chris Wood, so they do not have Acuna type of guy.
And Hudson-Odoi, as well as Morgan Gibbs-White, have had like generationally terrible seasons this year, out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's Marinakis is not allowing this team any stability. Like, I'm aware when they went against Wolves and they had 35 shots and like close to 3 xG and they didn't score. I'm aware that's not a good look. Nor were like the displays against Leeds, Everton, or like the dreadful game versus Braga in Europe. But Marinakis is not allowing any stability at this team. He's just constantly hitting the reset button. It has left this team, I imagine, very confused as to like what they should be, what their tactical identity is. They're not the worst team down here, not the worst squad. When the core 11 from last year plays, I think they're pretty competitive. But they're confused and not knowing where you are as a team when you're already down here. That is just more oxygen for like the fire underneath you, the drop zone. We saw it with Wolves. They fell apart so quickly under Pereira, right?
Right.
Because they had no attacking identity. I'm not sure Nottingham have much of an identity generally. Again,
And
they have
this,
good players, but
yeah,
they don't know what the tactics are.
I think they're like the opposite of Leeds right now for me. In that Leeds have a very strong tactical identity, and they're an offensive squad. Nottingham are a
Lots of
defensive squad.
confidence. Lots of
Right.
confidence in the manager, too.
And
Yeah.
Nottingham have zero confidence because there's clearly no direction at this point. Marinakis has made this very clear. Because, listen, I think if you're sacking four managers, if I've been told at the start of the season that Nottingham are on their fourth manager by February, I would assume that they're 20th place and already relegated. And as terrible as they've been this season, that's not where they are. Especially not sacking Sean Dyche. And that, in particular, I think is a very worrying sign because the last time Sean Dyche, sorry, not the last time he was sacked, but when he was sacked from Burnley, right? At that time, Burnley were in a very similar position as Nottingham are in now. I mean, they wouldn't have been relegated, but then they ended up being relegated because they sacked him. So I feel like Forest could very much potentially fall in the same trap here. They've basically done the exact same thing. And if we're going to consider tactical identity to be an important factor for staying up, which I think it is, then this is a huge, huge problem for Nottingham.
Yeah, I think that a part of it is still down to like what can Nuno and West Ham do, and Nuno will want revenge, so he's going to be going for it. They're only 3 points behind, right? But
Right.
yeah, Nottingham are just shooting themselves in the foot just over and over again. They're shooting themselves all over. With Pereira, like you do get some personality. Like I know he can bring some energy to the team. Pump his chest, celebrate with the fans, probably pick up a yellow, maybe even a red on the touchline.
The problem is you need to in order for him to operate properly, he needs the backing of the dressing room, and I don't know if he will have the backing.
And I don't know that the dressing room can back any new manager coming in at this point. I don't know that that's even Pereira's fault. Though of course he has a reputation from what happened at Wolves earlier in the season. I just don't know that bringing in a fourth manager of any kind is gonna like go well with the players. It's certainly not. Yeah. Again, it's just artificial instability at this club. It's not down to injuries. It's not down to like financial issues or anything of the sort.
I mean, he
when is the last time we saw a player manager in the Prem? Actually, that's interesting.
I think the 90s, right?
Yeah. Maybe. This is the only way, that I could see and like any sort of credibility
get
with
him
the manager.
Get him
and again,
to do
it's
something,
not even
man. Like he's this guy is unable to contribute anything to the club right now. I'm being tongue in cheek, of course, but yeah, I mean, fucking, if they sign Jurgen Klopp, maybe I don't know. Like, who's out there?
Where is Klopp? Right. Well, he's just at Red Bull,
director
right?
at RB, right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No. Klopp's not coming back to coach fucking Forest, bro.
Yeah. I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There's just nothing here. Like to the players, they're basically Marinakis is just rolling the dice with managers over and over again. I would have stuck with Dyche at this point. Yeah, I wouldn't make the same mistake.
Oh, for sure. I don't understand sacking Dyche. I don't understand sacking Dyche at all. I mean, I understand why it's doing it. Marinakis is an idiot. That's why. But like, from a logical standpoint, there's no reason to sack Sean Dyche.
Just I forget performances for Dyche. I mean, they're not the worst to begin with, but even if they were not great, you can't sack another manager at this point.
Yeah.
This is the big issue, I think. It's not that you're sacking Dyche over however well or poorly the team did. You're sacking a third manager in the season. This is the big issue. And yeah, I'd have stuck with Sean Dyche, but now, Lord knows if this Forest team will get better or worse. But honestly, I think it's worse just for the fact that they have no like continuity within this team whatsoever.
Right. So I think you have West Ham getting relegated, right?
I did say West Ham first off, but now I am reconsidering, honestly. Because Nuno at least looks pretty decent at West Ham right now. And they're not gonna West Ham's board is not fucking insane. They're not gonna sack him.
Oh yeah.
So
for sure.
Right, they have continuity, and I think the players have faith in him as well. So
this is why I don't think Nuno. This is why I don't think West Ham is getting relegated because Nuno has a clear system on this side. They're playing well recently, and I think a lot of the players are peaking at the right time. I think three players in particular: Jared Bowen, uh, Somerville, and Mateus Fernandez. I think those three are going to keep them away from relegation here, and I think form is going to be a huge factor as we get into later stages of the season. They're the only team, out of the three, by the way, who don't have European football, which is also going to help them. And so, yeah, I'll stick to my guns. I don't think West Ham is getting relegated. I think it's going to be Nottingham or Tottenham.
I'm gonna say Nottingham. Yeah, I'm gonna say
Me
it.
too.
I
I'll say
think
Nottingham.
yeah, Tottenham have too much going for them. Fucking let the league do a Mavs Lakers Luka trade type shit. Just engineer the outcomes here if necessary. There's too much money at Tottenham. They'll find a way.
Maybe they engineered the outcome of sacking Sean Dyche because I don't
Maybe.
fucking understand it.
Maybe I think I said that to you. No, that it's like maybe Marinakis is just a Prem agent at this
Right.
point.
But then the question
To
is like,
keep
who are they?
Tottenham up.
They're gonna get some wonder kid. I don't know at the start of next season. Like, I don't understand.
Nottingham so that they can come right back up.
Yeah, I mean, who's the
Maybe.
fucking what's the guy's name? The Mavericks rookie. Cooper Flag. Who's the Cooper Flag for
Flag,
Nottingham?
flag. They get a
Yeah, I
Cooper
don't.
flag.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
hang
Nottingham
on.
is. I'll put
Yeah,
Nottingham.
Nottingham is getting relegated. I don't think Tottenham's getting relegated. What I will say, I think there's a very fair chance that 17th place ends up being a
Tottenham.
Brighton or a Palace.
Ooh. Okay. You think they dropped that far down?
Well, it's
I
actually
was
not that
personally
far.
not.
I mean, if you look at points, it's actually not.
That's
It's actually
that's
not that
fair.
far. But here's the thing.
I just was
A
not
new-
thinking they
Here's the
stooped
thing:
that low.
a new manager bounce, especially after Thomas Frank lost the dressing room like he did, actually should be a huge positive. The only reason it's not a huge positive for Nottingham is because they're doing it in the worst way possible. But as you know, a new manager bounce at this point of the season actually usually does work. So I think Tottenham have put themselves in a great position. Obviously, Leeds have put themselves in a great position. And so, unless Brighton or Palace fix their form soon, I think more likely Brighton. I think one of them could go down, not relegated, but go down to 17th.
Yeah, I'll just say like I need to see at least one game from Tudor. Then I can maybe come to that conclusion for sure. Yeah, it's not unreasonable, but I still think that even if
I mean, they're
Thomas
I mean,
Frank
if they
is
win their next match and Brighton gets a draw or loses, then they're already ahead of them. I think.
right. But I just think that even if Thomas Frank is going out, I'm not very confident with this Tottenham squad as is. Then again, Brighton are wishy washy too. Right?
I just think
And
that Thomas
Palace
Frank has
have
been
their own
so
problems,
bad that like it's just neutral.
You think
should
he's
be a
been
huge
holding him
improvement.
back that much though?
Massively, because the thing
Okay.
with Thomas Frank is he's uniquely lost the dressing room in a way that no other manager did in the Premier League, and that's the huge thing. Like if your players aren't putting 100%, that's a massive loss. And listen, Tottenham are not a very good squad, but if you just look at their squad, right, look at the talent they have, they should not be in this position at all. There's no reason. They've had somewhat of an injury crisis, but it's not nearly as bad as it would cause a like mid-table or up mid-table side to be here.
Yeah. Okay. So you think if we were to like put in place like what teams we have where by the end of the season, do you think more likely than not that a team goes below Tottenham and West Ham?
I'll tell you my table. 18th would be Forest. 17th
Okay.
would be Brighton. 16th would be Tottenham. 15th would be Palace, and 14th would be Leeds.
14th West Ham.
Oh, sorry, wait.
Oh,
Wait, no, I completely messed
that
up.
would be West
Sorry,
Ham, right?
sorry, no, I completely messed that
No?
up. I messed that up completely. Sorry. Because I didn't have this written down like the other thing. Sorry, Forest 18th.
Yeah.
Forest 18th. Brighton 17th. West Ham 16th. Tottenham 15th. Palace 14th. Leeds 13th. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Did I say
Okay.
that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'll have Forest 18th. I'm still gonna say no one drops off quite that far. I'll still have just Tottenham 17th. Maybe there is a bit of a gap by season's end, but I do think also that because Nuno is just settled in, West Ham can continue. Like if they're at least a bit better now, maybe that'll keep them ahead by season's
I think the
end.
question is, does Brighton sack Hertzler? Because I feel like Brighton put a lot more trust in their managers than other teams do. But if the Brighton board were less stable, I think Hertzler would be in a lot of trouble by now. No?
Right. Yeah,
Like it's kind of
they
it's kind of surprising if we're just looking at form. It's kind of surprising that he hasn't been like rumored at that
he does
much
hold
to
them
be
back. He
sacked.
does hold them back. Yes, because
Yeah,
he is very he's like Amarin. He's very
yeah,
sticks to his tactics. He only
yeah.
has one way of doing things, really. Um, yeah, I won't say anyone drops down quite
And
that
also,
low
sorry,
to
real quick about
17th.
Palace. I think their form is probably. I think their morale is not very good because obviously they know Glasner's leaving, and the
Oh,
team doesn't
yeah.
look to have a future. So it just doesn't, it doesn't look good for them as either. They're not in the relegation battle, but I think.
They're like wolves almost a few seasons back. I feel like.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just
yeah,
slow decline is what it is. It's
yeah.
unfortunate. Again, my now that I think about it, my Schadenfreude kind of kicking in again after the 3 losses we had to them earlier in the season.
Yeah, I mean, I
Okay.
do want Palace to do well, but it's just what can you do, man? What can you do?
Yeah, all right. I'll have Forest 18th. Yeah, I'll say Tottenham 17th, West Ham 16th, and then everyone just kind of holds. But I think Leeds can also go up a place or two past the other
Okay,
guys. Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
But do you have them going up a
Um,
place or
I'll say they go up one place, and then I'll say Brighton go behind them. So it's then
okay?
Forest, Tottenham, West Ham, because I do think Tottenham, if Tudor takes a while to settle in, West Ham can get ahead and maybe stay ahead.
Okay.
Forest, Tottenham, West Ham, Brighton, Leeds, Palace.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. I feel like I have this more spicy tables than you, but
maybe,
that's fine.
maybe.
That's not a good or bad thing. Okay. Do you want to say your secret question first, or should I go with mine?
I could go with mine first. Though honestly, it's not really a question, but it is something I have noticed in like our predictions, even not just like generally
What you
in
can say
Prem
is
discussion.
because I'll be honest, mine has a statement too. You can be like agree or disagree, and then just say your statement.
Okay, agree or disagree, home advantage is a way bigger deal this season than it was like literally last season.
um, agree for certain squads. Agree
Okay,
only conditionally.
okay,
But tell me,
conditionally.
like, explain yourself.
I honestly think it like for almost every team here it has made quite a big difference for me. Except Tottenham, they're the statistical outlier, and Wolves are just shit every time.
Sure.
Um, but because last season I think home advantage or like the percentage of wins teams got at home, like when they played at home, their win percentage was like 40% across
Yeah.
the whole season. Part of that could be down to just, I mean, there were somewhat worse teams at the bottom of the table, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's been down since like COVID, basically, when no one was
I
in
think the bigger question
stadiums.
is what is the difference between home and away win percentage? Do you have these?
It's I don't have the exact away percentage, but they are inversely proportional here. I think it is home percentage has gone up to like 50% or a bit more than that this
I mean,
season.
here's what I will say though. I looking at the table, right? I feel like a lot of these squads actually don't really have much of a home advantage. Like, can I just list down a few examples just as I go through the
Okay,
table? West Ham, London Stadium is massive, but I don't think it has very strong home advantage.
okay, yeah, we know
Um,
about the toxicity there. Yes, that's true.
right. Also, like the fucking fans are like so far away from the pitch that it's
Yeah,
not really.
this has been a problem for like years on end. Yes.
Yeah. I also think like okay, I'll give it to Leeds. I'll maybe give it to Tottenham, but like I think this season kind of a similar situation with West Ham, right, with the fans. Um, I don't really think Brighton have that much of a home advantage.
Okay.
I don't think Fulham have that much of a home advantage. Um, let's see if I go up the table more. Um, I feel like everyone has like here's my opinion. I think a few teams have like no home advantage. Most teams have a normal home advantage, and then there's like fucking Sunderland, and then like the teams like that, like the Sunderlands,
That
the
I do think we should pay a bit more attention to the big teams as well, actually. Because like when you look at Arsenal or City or United, they have actually improved quite a lot. Like I know there are teams that we know, like Leeds and Sunderland,
really.
they've just gotten promoted, and it is a big deal for them. But yes, I think from what I've seen, Arsenal, United, and City were kind of underperforming in terms of home performance last season. They were pretty all over the place in terms of how they performed where. This season, they've been a lot more consistent
Okay.
at home. Besides maybe Liverpool, because everyone talks about Anfield is no longer
Yeah,
a
wait, but
fortress.
hang on. But is that because their home stadium has gotten better, or is that because the teams have gotten better?
Okay, fair, fair. Yeah, maybe I needed to think about this one a bit more. What I will say as well, though, this could be one thing that's feeding into it. Would you also say that if I was to ask you another question, score
Sure.
lines have just generally gotten closer in
Oh
games?
yeah, for sure. But
Yeah.
but for me, that's just like competitiveness. That's just like the level of
Okay.
teams.
Okay, but here's the thing, because then when we've talked about home advantage in our predictions, it's like, all right, these teams are so close. What else do we have as potentially a differentiator? And a
Ah,
lot of the time, what I come to is home advantage. Because when now you have like these 1-0, 2-1 score lines that are starting to become the norm, yeah, one dead ball routine in front of your own end, that could be the game right there. And
that's
if you
fair.
have the
That's very
fans to
fair.
push
Yeah.
you on that.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is just personally, I'm not sure exactly how your predictions go, but for me, home advantage has played a pretty big factor
It
for a
has for
lot
me
of
as well,
these
for sure.
matches
That
that I've
that's
covered.
definitely true.
Yeah. I will say I was a bit overboard perhaps to say it's for most teams, because yeah, there are a few teams you can point out, quite a few that are like questionable. But yeah, it's just that because I know I wasn't doing predictions last season. I was editing for like you and Corey and Kaibo. But from what I could tell, that did not come into play so much in predictions. Whereas now when I'm
I think
making
that's
my
true.
own and I'm still editing the videos, like it shows up
Yeah.
quite a lot.
and
Yeah.
and and I think I think the fact that you're still, I mean, listen, I won the predictions last season when you weren't in it, and now you're. I'm not gonna. I mean, this is not a projected victory, swap no, but right now, I think you're ahead by like
I
four
am
points,
still
right?
I'm 4 points ahead, I think, for now.
Right.
Yeah.
To be fair, I was behind for like most of the season last year as well, and I had a crazy remontada, so like fucking watch your back. But I think you saying this has some credence to it.
Okay. Yeah, that's all I have basically on that. I think it has certainly, now that I've been doing predictions actively, it has become a pretty big
Okay.
differentiator for a lot of these otherwise very close games. Yeah.
I have a thing that's more general. This is honestly
Okay.
like what I'm talking about is not just this season, but just coming looking into the future in general. Um, I don't know how spicy of a take this is, but I feel like this is true now, and I didn't think this even just a few years ago. Um, agree or disagree? There is clearly a big 6 or 7 in the Premier League, obviously.
Okay.
Uh, and crucially, earlier in the decade, Villa and Newcastle went from not in the conversation to not just in the conversation, but in the Big Six or in the Big Seven. I guess depending on how you want to
Yeah.
put it. Um, my hot take is that no other squad in England has even a remote chance of entering the Big Six or
Of
Seven the way
entering
that
that
Villa and Newcastle
discussion
have for the rest of the decade.
for the rest of the decade.
Yeah, I think it's been
Um
completely closed off now.
okay. Well, let's see here. We have Newcastle, who have got oil money.
Oh no, but
Villa
Newcastle
are
and Villa are already in it though. I'm saying besides
right,
Newcastle and
right,
Villa,
right.
nobody else can join.
No, that's the thing. Just to compare. Okay, Newcastle have got oil money. That I think is a big factor. Their buyout is what has gotten them into there, because they have consistent funding to sign strong players. Um, Villa have done, I think, yeah, they have decent funds too as well. They're a pretty big club, all things
Can
considered.
I hang
But
on?
then,
Can I push back on that a little bit? Because
yeah,
I think Newcastle now the oil money is really kicking in. But when Eddie Howe first got them in top four, he did it without spending that much money. Like he really did
okay,
a similar way that Unai Emery did.
yeah. But I think you could still say they have more funds than these guys like Brentford or Brighton that are basically playing Moneyball, and they're constantly.
Right.
Here's the other thing I'll say: Newcastle and Villa aren't constantly buying and selling players, right?
Yeah.
These players are not getting, like, when Chelsea is constantly farming Brighton for players. This is not something that Newcastle and Villa have to worry about. For whatever
True.
reason, whether it is the finances, it's like maybe they have more a better reputation just as clubs, bigger fan bases. They have reasons that they can keep these players here.
But I'll tell
Whereas
you why. I'll tell you why this is true now and it wasn't the case a few years ago. For me, it's very clear. Um, I think in order to this issue you're talking about, this is like a vicious cycle of teams do well and they have to sell their best players and they
right,
regress, right?
they have to restart. Yeah,
the only way to avoid that with the financial system the Premier League has is to qualify for the Champions League. That's the only way to get out of it, right? And earlier in the decade, there was the big three. There was Arsenal, City, and Liverpool. But Chelsea was worse than it was now. United was worse than it was now. Tottenham was never really, on the level that I think even a Chelsea or United is now. And so that fourth spot was open for a Newcastle or a Villa. But it feels like now, United and Chelsea have improved a lot. Obviously, Villa and Newcastle are who they are. So it feels like the top four race is no longer even open at all, the way that it was a few years ago. And so when you have a team finish in the Europa League or the Conference League, even like the way Villa did or that Nottingham did, they have to sell a lot of players, right? And I think if for example Villa made the Champions League, in my opinion, they keep Rashford and Asensio, they sign a few more midfielders, and they're in the title race. So that's just how big of a difference that is for an already established club. So I think it's basically just not possible right now. You have to wait for like some of these generations of some of these squads to like regress, but that's going to take time. And right now, I think the path is just not open.
There are not enough UCL spots for England, I guess. Yeah, it's just.
I mean, it's not that
they have no pathway, right?
Not that there should be more, but just that with the way with the talent, like the way it's distributed.
Yeah, you're right. Even for Villa, that last day drama last season really did make a big difference. And then you could say, oh, Newcastle are having trouble with depth and whatnot, having to play UCL games. They're getting that bag, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Brentford are not going to get that playing UCL, and I think they have I think they get UCL. I said they were seventh, right? So they right. Sorry, I said UCL. UECL, or I guess now it's not even UECL. Actually, it is Conference League. I don't know what they even call it anymore for abbreviated. But anyways, they get Conference League. They're not getting that kind of money, which means they will still have to sell people. Who knows? Thiago might be gone. End of next season.
They did just lose Mbemo and Wissa, so
maybe even end of this season. I would hope not for their sake, but yeah, they might get him for like a year and a half, and then they have to sell him. Maybe somehow they sneak like a Europa in that time. But if they still have to sell him, if they still have to sell Thiago at that point, they're back to
I think right now, if I have to make a prediction, I think the one of their players in their front three is gonna be gone at the end of the season, and my guess is it's gonna be Dango Aracha. I think.
Okay.
I don't know. It's not a hard prediction, and then not just that, they're gonna lose someone in the midfield as well because they're just too stacked there.
Okay. Yeah. This is just what happens with like Brentford or Bournemouth or Brighton. Even Palace, they get rated.
I mean, we just saw this happen to Palace. We just saw this happen to Bournemouth. We just saw this happen to Brentford.
And again, like they seem like they've recovered very well. People had Brentford or Bournemouth maybe getting relegated even, but they've recovered very well, but only well enough to get back to this point where they get maybe Conference League, and then they have to start the cycle over again. They're stuck in that cycle. Yeah.
I think the other way you can go about it is Everton, who just have a lot of continuity. But then similarly there, it's like very hard to progress with just like the same squad. So
yeah, they also have their own sort of ceiling, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? Maybe by the time the Big Six opens up, the next Big Six squad is like fucking Wrexham. Like I don't know.
I swear we actually talked about this at one point, right? Because they very clearly do not have in like the group chat. Anyways,
oh yeah, sorry, yeah.
Because they clearly do not have the funding to stay up in the Prem at all.
Right now,
they need a buyout. And a buyout's not going to go well with like any of their fans. But if they manage that, sure, yeah.
But I do think though, if you do give Wrexham 5 years, and again, this is not my take. My take was what I said already. I think there's a possibility where they actually can be ready to be like upper mid-table side in the Prem. And then timing-wise, that happens to bode very well.
Right. So they have a good chance at being that team that gets into the...
I don't want to say they have a good chance. I'm just saying they have a chance. I'm not going to say good chance.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like Sunderland too, no? I feel like Sunderland are also kind of in a similar progression path.
They have a pretty... Okay, they can very much build
like the thing is their squad is so young.
This season they've got going. Yeah. Do they also get rated though before they can make that work?
No, because the thing is, I don't think I don't think. I think what they can do is if they play the Everton path and just go for continuity, guys like Chris
Okay.
Rigg, like Simon Adingra, like Chemizine Talbi are only going to get better. And like that's like, for example, like has Eelman and Jai hit his ceiling? If not, I think it's kind of close to that. For example, right? Like,
Right.
and then like I think like Idrissa Gueye or like James Garner or like Dewsbury Hall, like I feel like they're kind of close to their peaks already. Whereas for Sunderland, I see a path for, even with just their current squad, substantial improvement over the next, like, let's say half decade.
And you think they time it right so that
Because
there
I
is
think
an
the biggest thing
opening?
is timing right now. Exactly. I
Okay.
think they could time it right. I think they're well positioned to time it right, and I think Wrexham are well positioned to time it right. And I mean, like, it's most likely going to be someone else. It's not going to be one of these two that we can't foresee yet. It's probably
Right.
going to be someone random. But
But
like,
so I guess the point is no one's going to get into that coveted top like 7 section for a while,
yeah,
basically.
right.
Yeah.
I think it's closed off now.
Yeah, that's fair. It's a close
And
shave
by
for
the
a
way,
while.
also I think Tottenham, that includes Tottenham as well. They're not coming back on. They're fucked.
Right. they're locked out. They're locked out right now. They have lots of other issues to worry
Unless they
about.
get an
The one
ownership
thing
change
they've
or
got
so.
going for them, well, Tottenham are already a big club. That's what they've got going for them. Except
Right.
that is like they are in their own cycle of shit that is
The
like
issue is, I think a lot of Tottenham's financial success was Heung-min Son, which made them like the club to support in Asia, which is obviously has a massive fan base. And then I really think that Tottenham do not have the same established fan base that a lot of these other clubs have, even if they're smaller. And so I think as Tottenham continues to be mediocre, they're going to lose a lot of their fans and they're going to lose a lot of their money. Unless something changes, and nothing seems to be changing.
I'm telling you, they need to be ambitious. They just have to try and find a star player.
Like,
They had
remind me
Son,
of
they
like,
had Kane.
yeah, they remind me of like
They need someone
late
like that,
'90s,
yeah.
early 2000s Leeds.
Yeah. They just lost their relevance. That's what it was. That's fair. That'll happen to Tottenham. They need a star. That's basically all I have to say for them.
Yeah.
Else, yeah, they will keep sliding.
Well, yeah. I mean, listen. I think that's it for the episode. Then
Yeah.
we did cover quite a bit. Oh, here's one thing. We chose to go for this over like FA Cup or Champions League knockout qualifiers, but
Right.
I think we probably will make a Champions League bracket once the round of 16 is decided, right? Because the thing is, we don't even know like the fucking matchups.
Yeah, we don't know who's
so
going
we can't
through.
really do
and
that
you
yet.
you could imagine who will win a few of these matches, but I think at least for the few where it could be more of a wild card. Yeah, it's fair to hold off for a bit.
So we're holding off on that for now, but we will definitely do a video on that.
Right. In I think about a month's time is when the knockouts actually start. So yeah, we'll get going on that soon. Okay. Well, yeah, a bit of a longer video, but again, it is a whole league overview this time, so a lot of stuff to cover. Thank you everyone for sticking around, and yeah, we hope to see you soon. Maybe in like a few days for another set of Prem predictions. Yeah.
See ya.
Have a good one.